Question is the bill be now read a second time, and I call the member for Lindsay.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, it is with great pride I rise this afternoon in support of the Paid Parental Leave Amendment Bill 2014. Paid parental leave has featured as a signature policy of the Abbott government at both the 2010 and 2013 elections. Deputy Speaker, Lindsay is the fourth youngest electorate in Australia, with a median age of just 34. As a young woman myself, I am proud to support this amendment that also supports families and young families right across my region. Deputy Speaker, this bill makes me think to all the conversations that I have had over these two elections with so many young and talented women right across my electorate. For me, I do think to a young woman by the name of Tracy who had just been newly engaged when she found out she was pregnant. The pregnancy was unplanned, but she was very excited about it. Tracy, not having the financial or the economic position to take on the responsibilities of a young family, was actually forced back to work in 3 months. And like so many people in my electorate, 2/3 of my electorate have to commute every single day. Tracy, at 3 months after giving birth, had to commute to Parramatta to resume her duties as a PA, which is not a highly paid position, so that she could help support for her family. Now, Tracy and Phil were really lucky because their parents could actually both, or their mothers could both step in and actually help babysit their young son. But for me, I recall at the train station seeing Tracy, who would actually be in tears as she'd have to leave her baby behind to go back to work. She was also forced a whole vast array of family choices that she really didn't want to have to make. She wanted to breastfeed for 6 months. Well, she couldn't do that. She had to go back to work. She had to all of a sudden now was looking at options like expressing and how to use baby formula and interplace all of these different things when really she just wanted to be home with her son. You know, this experience of Tracy and Phil is actually, it's not unique. We see this right across our country, and this paid parental leave scheme is about providing fairness and equity. Deputy Speaker, when we look at what we need to provide for a young family, and providing for a young family is a challenge that does keep them up late at night, this bill is designed to give these families a leg up and support them at a really, really critical time. These amendments will give mothers 6-month paid leave based on their actual wage, not a minimum wage. They will not be penalised for having a child, as they will receive their actual wage. Deputy Speaker, I also want to tell this afternoon the story of Nicole, a very talented accounts clerk that I met door-knocking in Jamison Town. For 5 years, Nicole had enjoyed her job working with a local small business. Now wanting to have a family, her employer did not have the capacity to pay her a paid parental leave at her salary. So Nicole made a decision. She would change employer. Rather than working for the local small business, she actually went and got a job in North Sydney as an accounts clerk. Now, Nicole was actually a huge loss to her employer, who now actually does not have the ability to compete on an even playing field within the labour market. And for small businesses right across the Lindsay electorate and right across our country, this paid parental leave scheme actually gives them the ability to compete and have talented employees stay within their businesses. So this is about fairness, and I would like to give credit where credit is due. For instance, earlier today we heard from the member for Gellibrand, who pointed out the opposition did in fact introduce Australia's first paid parental leave scheme. But it wasn't fair, and quite frankly, it did not go far enough. From the party which made outrageous claims against our Prime Minister, it is a bit rich for them, quite frankly, to devalue women across our community, across our nation, to the minimum wage. The member for Gellibrand used phrases to describe the opposition scheme as a balanced approach and setting realistic objectives. Well, Deputy Speaker, Let me ask this. How balanced is it when we're replacing the salary of a young working woman with the minimum wage? How realistic is it for a family who has to manage their family's budget, something the opposition clearly knows nothing about, but then to pay them at the minimum wage? Quite frankly, it is not. It just is not. This bill also supports small businesses. This bill will reduce the burden of red tape, another key priority of the Abbott government. By taking control of the administrative process, small businesses will be free to get on with the job of doing what they do best. I would like to applaud the vision in the design of this measure to ensure that it does not, and I repeat, increase the administrative burden on small businesses. Under this amendment, employees would be paid directly by the Department of Human Services. In doing this, there will be no additional paperwork for employers or cash flow problems for small businesses. I would like to reflect on the paid parental leave scheme introduced by the former Labor government. In contrast with our plan, Labor's paid parental leave scheme imposes an unnecessary administrative burden on employers, particularly our small businesses. Under Labor's scheme, with few exceptions, employers are required to act as paymasters after receiving an employee's entitlement from Centrelink. The system is unnecessarily complicated and forces small businesses to bear the costs of restructuring their payroll and accounting systems. But unsurprisingly, the now opposition just don't care about the impact their measures and policy has on small businesses right across our country. These businesses are the engine room of our economy. This amendment or measure will save businesses in Australia $44 million a year and will further save the not-for-profit sector $4 million a year. As a result, the Coalition's policy has broad-ranging support from the industry. The Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry conducted a survey of its members on the paid parental leave scheme in May 2013. In the survey, 84.3% of the businesses either agreed or strongly agreed that the government should not require employers to be the paymaster for the paid parental leave scheme. I would also like to take the opportunity to echo the sentiments of John Osborne, the Chief Operating Officer of the Chamber, who has welcomed the Abbott government scheme, and I quote, "Small business people should not be forced to be the unpaid pay clerks for government schemes. This responsibility should be funded and administrated by the government. The Abbott government is trying to do the right thing by small businesses in cutting red tape, and the opposition should support this." Deputy Speaker, I again echo these sentiments. There is no reason why businesses should have to act as the pay clerk when the Family Assistance Office, a part of the Department of Human Services, can do this job like it did when the scheme first started. Labor's resistance to this measure proves they just don't get business, and they have no understanding of how unnecessary costs adversely affect and impact on jobs and business viability. It is imperative to kickstart the economy. We need to release the handbrake that hinders our national prosperity and the red tape that previous governments have placed on our small businesses. We need to support working mums, and it's a crucial reason why I am proud to rise here today in support of this amendment, because it will actually deliver a genuine paid parental leave scheme to give mothers 6 months' leave based on their actual salary. My community is made up predominantly of many, many young families and young professionals. Unlike our more densely populated neighbours closer to the city, the people in Lindsay, in Penrith or St Mary's, Glenmore Park or Colleton, even in Cranebrook, enjoy the benefits of being in a regional hub but close to one of the best international cities in the world. Young families choose to live in Lindsay. They choose to make Lindsay their home. They choose to take advantage of this accessibility. And if I do say so myself, have the availability of a region where it is great to live, work and play. But even more importantly, to raise a family. This amendment will finally give families the chance to get ahead and give women a more realistic choice that if they so choose, that they can combine both work and family and continue in their careers and in their jobs, and to make real choices about supporting their family income. I hear these concerns every single day. Right for the last 4 years, I have heard these concerns from so many families right across my region. Under the Coalition scheme, mothers will be provided with 26 weeks of paid parental leave at their actual wage or the national minimum wage, whichever is greater, plus superannuation. In contrast, Labor's paid parental leave scheme is at the minimum wage of 18 weeks. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, around 80% of Australian women earn less than $62,400, and the average salary for women who work full-time is around $65,000. This means those who earn the average full-time salary for women will be more than $21,000 better off under the Coalition scheme, because they will receive their actual wage over 26 weeks, around $32,000, instead of the minimum wage for 18 weeks, around $11,200. For families paying a mortgage with bills to pay who understand the importance of managing a budget, receiving their actual wage will make a significant difference. It will reduce the financial pressure that can come with raising children. It is also important for Australia to remain competitive internationally. Deputy Speaker, of the 34 countries in the Organisation of Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, 33 offer paid parental leave schemes. Of these 33 countries, Australia is only one of two that fails to pay leave based on a replacement wage. By offering only minimum wage, Australia is left economically behind major OECD competitors. Due to this, we risk the productivity gains that come from greater participation by women in paid workforce. There is no doubt a ready way to increase Australia's productivity is to increase the participation, both part-time and full-time, of women in the paid workforce, which is why paid parental leave is an economic driver. Deputy Speaker, I commend this bill to the House. Thank you.
Thank the member for Lindsay. The question is